This is Keith Helwig from Cops Corrections Videos. If you like my videos, please hit the red subscribe button. Recently I made a video on how to retain good officers. The video I'd like to make today is how to retain good supervisors. Now, in supervisors in the state of Wisconsin, the Department of Corrections, supervisors are lieutenants and captains. In many sheriff's departments, police departments, and other states, it's sergeants and above, which are considered supervisors. In order to maintain a good institution or a good department, you need to have good supervisors. Now, that doesn't mean that they cover up for their cops when they've done something wrong, that they cover up for their officers when they've done something wrong. It means that they are in there doing their job, they're supporting their staff, they're helping them succeed rather than watch them fail. Well, one of the things that managers need to remember, and by managers I'm talking about deputy chiefs, sheriffs, wardens, deputy wardens, security directors, one of the things they need to remember is that they need to support their supervisory staff. You know, the last institution I worked at, when I started there, the most senior supervisor there had almost 30 years in. And she was actually one of the first female correctional officers in the state of Wisconsin, and also one of the first female supervisors in the state of Wisconsin. Now, she rubbed some feathers wrong. As supervisors, we all do. You know, I was a captain, and I'm sure there are people who are going to say, oh, he was an awful captain because I ruffled their feathers. You're going to have others who's going to say, you know, he was okay as a captain. Some are going to say he was a good captain. Regardless of the fact, I did what I felt I had to do in my job. Well, anyways, I'd like to fast forward a little bit. We got a new security director. Now, when this security director came to the institution, we thought, this is great. He's got a great reputation. He worked his way up through the ranks. He's going to know what's what and who's who. And evidently he did, because the first thing he said about doing was pretty much destroying the career of that captain. She was the administrative captain. She was doing a good job. She had her own way of doing things. He didn't like it, so he basically forced her into retirement. And it was because he didn't support her, it was because he didn't like her, and because he wanted to bring one of his own people in to put in that position. Well, that wasn't the end of it. Anytime there was a supervisor position open after that, he brought in one of the people from his former institution, where he was also a security director, and basically was driven out of that institution, but he brought his people over. Now, I'm not saying that all the people he brought over were incompetent. Some of them were very good. Some of them were just god-awful as supervisors. They were the type of supervisor who would sit back and watch an officer make a mistake, and rather than correct them at that time, they would write them up for it and talk to them about it later. And that's the type of people he wanted. He wanted people who are going to be yes men. If you want to attract and maintain good supervisors, if you are in upper management, you need to support them. That doesn't mean that if they do something wrong, you support them. Just as being a captain, if one of my subordinates did something wrong, that doesn't mean I supported them, that I would correct them. But it does mean that you don't sit back and just watch them fail. Unfortunately, that happens in too many situations. Currently, we have a situation in a local police department where a police chief was a severe micromanager, and he lost a lot of seasoned officers, but he also lost a lot of seasoned supervisors. Now, not to say that the supervisors that came up in their place aren't competent. You know, perhaps they are. Some of them haven't been in long enough to really prove themselves yet, but hopefully they're going to be good supervisors for the police department. But in corrections and in police work, it is inherent for supervisors to have support, and not just support from above. You know, like I say, I was a captain, a lieutenant, and a captain for 19 years out of my 36-year career. I could not have made it if I didn't have the support of my staff. I could not have made it that long if I didn't have the support of my superiors. And ultimately, I didn't have the support of my superiors. My security director wanted to bring in his yes men, and ultimately that's what he did. And ultimately, that's what led to my retirement. Prior to my retiring, a couple of other senior supervisors retired. One supervisor made the statement that he wanted to retire before I did because as soon as I retired, the target was going to be on his back. And he was absolutely right. So he took the smart way out and he retired about a month before I did. But in essence, what I'm saying is if you're in upper management, don't micromanage your supervisors. They promoted into those positions because you've trusted them to do the job in those positions. That doesn't mean that they need you to watch over every move they make, but they need you to correct absolutely everything they do. Now, if they do something wrong, certainly it's your job to correct them. However, you do need to support them. If you are an officer and you have a good supervisor, support them. Let people know that this guy's okay, that this woman's okay. All too often supervisors are kind of on an island. They're not upper management, they're lower middle management, and they are kind of the guys who have to eat the turd sandwich when new policies and decisions are made because they're the ones that have the most contact with the frontline staff. So it's hard for supervisors sometimes when they have to enforce policies they don't agree with. But if they had the support of their supervisors, of upper management, it would make their job a lot easier. So all I'm saying in essence is if you're a manager, support your supervisors. Until next time, this is Keith Hellig from Cops Corrections Videos. Stay safe and watch your back.